Jumping right into it, let's grab everything we need to bleach our knots. Today we're going to be using Blondor, which is a Wella product, and it pretty much is a powder bleach. We're also going to be using a 40 volume developer, which I'll explain in just a moment. This here is a close-up of what the powder bleach looks like. Typically, I'll use the cheap one from Sally's. I'll have that link down below. This one here is just, I don't know, I like this one more. It helps to cancel out the brassy. As you guys can see, it's a nice blue, purple, lavender type of color, and I really like it. So if you use a powder bleach in a jar like this, it'll be in a bag as well, and it'll come with a scoop. I personally like to keep it in the bag just because there's sometimes a lot of kickback and dust, so it just kind of keeps it safe. I'm going to use 2 scoops today. You'll see in the end I only needed 1. I'm only going to use half of this, but I do have 2 scoops on one side, 2 scoops on the other side, because I'm bleaching multiple knots. Ignore the other side and just focuses on this side here. So what I'm doing is I'm gradually adding in the 40 developer. Now the developer is pretty much just what's going to activate the bleach to work. It's going to take the powder to a creamy consistency. You want something that's nice and thick. You definitely don't want it to be runny. If you're mixing and it feels runny, go back in with the powder and add a little bit more powder, maybe another scoop or just how much you need, and you continue to add your bleach and powder until you get a nice thick consistency. You want it thick enough that it does not like drip or run, but you don't want it too thin to where it will like run through the lace, if that makes sense. So you want it thick enough so that it'll hold and sit on top of the lace, but you also don't want it too thin. Hopefully I'm making sense. You guys can see here it's nice and thick and pasty. That's almost perfect, but it's like almost too thick because then it's going to be harder to apply. So you want it to be thick, but you want it to be smooth. I feel like I'm talking in circles. I'm confusing myself, but hopefully you're following along and you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm kind of just making sure that it's a nice thick paste, but not too thick, and then also not too thin. Use your own like gift of discernment to decide what that means for you. Sometimes when I apply it, it's a little thicker. Sometimes when I apply it, it's a little bit thinner. There is no exact ratio, if that makes any sense. But again, just think when I put it on, I don't want it to run through the lace because then it'll bleach the knots on the lace and it'll bleach the roots on the lace. So the wig we're going to be using today is from a company by the name of Ali Pro. I'm very familiar with this company and I love their wigs. They sent over this gorgeous lace wig, but as you guys can see, the knots are not bleached. When your knots are not bleached, this is exactly what it looks like, and this is what it will look like on your head. You'll see those black little dots, and we want the wig, but we just don't want those dots. So my next step is going to be to take a hairspray. This one is obviously the Got to Be Glued. I just sprayed a little bit along the hairline. You know, this product is a little sticky, so I'm gonna pretty much use it to brush the baby hairs back. You want the baby hairs to all be going backwards so that they don't accidentally get bleached. Now you see that I've brushed them back. When I apply the wig onto my mannequin head, you don't see any baby hairs hanging out. If you do, those baby hairs that are hanging forward will be bleached and turn blonde. So hopefully you guys can see the consistency very nicely. I'm going to be using a butter knife. You guys see I mixed it together with a pretty much like a hair dye comb or a hair dye brush, but I'm going to actually apply it to the wig with the butter knife. Now if you're going to use a butter knife, don't ever put this butter knife back in your kitchen. It is no good for kitchen use. I would like to like maybe put a little bit of nail polish on the tip of it so that you can remember that this one is not meant to be used to, you know, spread butter on toast anymore. It's contaminated. And as you guys can see, I just spread it from one side to the other. Typically I'm very quick with this process, so I won't even put it on a mannequin head. I literally will just sit it right side in like a cone on my countertop, and I'll just apply it, or sometimes I'll flip it inside out, but pretty much I just lay it on the countertop and I just apply this stuff you know, in whatever way feels comfortable to me that day. This here is a way that I do it just to kind of show you guys what to do. And you know, if you want to put on a mannequin head and you feel more comfortable, I definitely recommend it. It's just not the way I do it typically. It's just, you know, for viewing purposes. And that's pretty much it. You're gonna let this sit for about 20 minutes, and you make sure you set a timer because it's very easy to get on Instagram and forget that it's processing and over bleach your hair, and you will ruin your lace. And as you guys can see, this is what I have left. I have about half left. As I said before, I did use 2 scoops, so you really only need 1 scoop, but I just feel like sometimes when I use 1 scoop it's not enough. So I've set my timer for 20 minutes. I like to make sure I don't go over maybe 25 minutes because you don't want it to turn brassy. You know, when you see girls lace and it's really orange, they probably left the bleach on a little bit too long. And if it does become brassy, you're going to see the purple shampoo I'm going to use in just a moment. You wash the wig with that one time, and then you apply another lather and you let it sit in the sink with that purple shampoo on the lace for 30 minutes to sometimes an hour, and that'll help to get rid of the brassiness. That's pretty much the objective of this, and this is the purple shampoo I'm using here. Of course, everything I'm using is listed in the description box, and this is just going to make sure that, you know, it's a shampoo, so it's going to clean the lace, remove all of the bleach, and it's also going to help to tone the lace so that there's no blonde or craziness going on your lace, no brassiness. It's just going to look really, really, really nice. On this particular day, I only used one, I only shampooed it one time, and then I went in with a conditioner and conditioned one time. That's because his hair was in a healthy state. I didn't feel like it was brassy or anything else, so I didn't mind just using, you know, one. If you feel like you just want to make sure your hair is extra clean, then shampoo twice. What I used to do is I would shampoo with the purple shampoo once, I would shampoo with the neutralizing shampoo once, and then I will go in with a conditioner. I like to use a moisturizing conditioner just because I want to make sure that the hair is healthy and in its best of state as possible. Give the hair a little bit of slip. As you guys can see, the roots are not orange or yellow or brassy. They're nice and perfectly healthy. So this is going to look perfect on. This is Swiss lace, so it's going to look even more bomb, and we're going to tint the lace also, so you're going to see everything we're going to do in just a moment. Now the knots are completely bleached. I only left it on for that 20 minutes. I allowed it to air dry. This is like maybe 2 days later, and it's beautiful. Here's a close-up of what the hairline looks like just, you know, bleaching the knots. And then I'm going to show you guys what it's going to look like once I tint the lace. I am going to use foundation to tint the lace, which you can check out my previous video before this and you'll see exactly what I do to tint the lace. Just use a foundation, you know, the shade of your complexion under the lace, and it'll work perfectly. Also, when it comes to that 40 developer, I almost forgot to tell you guys, I use a 40. 50 I believe is one of the highest you can purchase in store, and you just really want to start with maybe with a 30 or a 20. If you're new and you're timid or scared, use a 20 volume developer. If you're an expert, you're going to use a 40. 50 I realize is just really too high up, and 30 is like a happy medium. And the higher the volume of developer, the less you're gonna keep the bleach on. And this is what it looks like when I added that lace tint, which is a foundation. Absolutely beautiful. Okay guys, I am done. One thing I'll be honest about, whenever I install my wigs off camera, 9 times out of 10 they come out so much better than when I do it on camera. I don't know what it is, but standing in front of the camera, I just don't do it the same as when I like jam out to my music and I go ahead and I install without the camera rolling. So that's pretty much what I did with this one. The pretty much highlight of this video was the beginning portion, which was me showing you how I bleach my knots these days. Now, not much has changed since my original tutorial, which I did, I want to say like 5 years ago. I'll have that one linked down below so that you can kind of compare. The only thing that may have changed is the actual bleach that I use, as well as maybe the developer and the strength of the developer. All that is in the description box. Other than that, oh, and I do use the butter knife, which I find to be a smoother technique to apply your mixture. What I will say is you have to be very, very, very careful not to press your bleach in. You can also, like, once you apply everything to the wig, like Typically, I went ahead and did this process on the mannequin head just so that it's more easier for you guys to see and follow along. But honestly, I just put my wig inside out on the counter, and I do the same exact process without the mannequin head. And for me, that is easier. And one great thing about that is that when I'm done, it'll lay on the counter like inside out. So that way, like, I can literally come, you know, every 15 to 20 minutes and kind of like peek in. You could kind of lightly lift it and you'll be able to kind of like look through the lace from the other side and kind of see if you can see the knots on the other side. Hopefully that makes sense. And typically that's how I'll do it. But again, I just wanted it to make it more visually appealing and easier to follow along with. Also, I did cheat a little bit and I used my handy dandy foundation for lace. You guys know that I love to use a foundation under my lace because I just feel like for you guys it's easier for me to encourage you to use a foundation and products that either you already have or you can find at your local, you know, drugstore, beauty supply store or whatever for under 10 bucks, opposed to trying to find solutions online, you know what I mean? So this is what I got and how it came out. The lace actually is very beautiful. You guys know I cannot live without baby hair. I know it's not everyone's taste. I just feel like whenever the hair goes straight back, you see that baby hair line and you don't see it as much when I do it this way. I also added a little bit of sideburn. This side I didn't finish touching up. I kind of just did a swoop, but I kind of just let the hair set. You kind of see how when I let it go, I'll be able to actually trim it. Where is my scissors? So just an easy way to do baby hair. I kind of will cheat and kind of just form it any kind of way like this where it's not perfect, and then I will like tie it down with a scarf and allow it to set. That way I can go back in later and trim it to the length I want. Sometimes you can trim it before, but sometimes it's cool to just wait and just allow it to form. That way it can kind of just sit there, and I can even go shorter than that, but that pretty much is it. Again, this one did come from Ali Pearl. This is their packaging as always, and they did give elastic, which I did not use, wig caps, and a new brush, which I'm actually in need another one of those. And then they also did give a dust bag for your wig, so that worked out amazing. For styling, again, I just did baby hair and I went ahead and did the hair bone straight, which is how it came already, and it feels soft. It feels really good, and I really don't have any complaints. You can kind of see here there are a little bit of flyaways, but I went a little bit light and subtle with the products I added, so I just will be able to go in with my Care wax stick you know, a little bit later, or I can just tie it up at night and it'll lay flat with no problem. But the wig itself lays super flat and I don't have any problems. So go ahead and let me know what you think about this one. Again, she came from Ali Pearl. This definitely will probably be my wig for the rest of the week and for Father's Day. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also be sure to share this video with your friends. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Smooches!